What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Chakra-ui. So just taking a look at the home page right now. As you can see, Chakra-ui is a UI framework for building React apps. So it will work with React or NextJS or any other framework like that. So as you can see here, a couple important things that Chakra offers us is one, it's themable. So as you'll see, it's super easy to customize the theme and use that entire theme throughout your application. It's composable, so you can easily make new components. And a cool feature is it comes basically out of the box with light and dark UI enabled. So it takes only about 10 lines of code to get that going. One thing to note before we go any further, the site you should be on is next.chakra-ui.com. So this version just came out a couple days ago. The older version, chakra-ui.com, still works, but we're going to be using the newer version. So the last thing to note before I jump into it, I'm going to be using next.js. So if you don't know what next.js is or you want to watch some videos to help getting started with that, feel free to check out my series where I talk about next.js and I talk about what it is, and we set up and create an entire application using it. So I have a next.js app set up right now. All I did was run this command. So I'm going to open up a new terminal inside of here. The first thing that we need to do is we need to actually install Chakra-ui via npm or yarn. So if we go to the documentation, we're going to go up to the getting started. So I'm going to be using yarn. So it takes two libraries, the Chakra-ui core, next library, and the framer motion library. So I'm going to go here and paste them in. So while that is doing its thing, I want to come down here. And the second step we're going to need to do is to go to the root of our application and add the Chakra provider. So in Next.js, that is the app.js document. So we'll go ahead and open that up. So like they said, we need to import the Chakra provider, and then we need to wrap that around our app. So we need to wrap it around this. And then we can format everything up and we should be good to go. And if you're adding this to an existing application, there may be more stuff inside of here, but that is fine. Just wrap this around everything. Alright, so it looks like this is done. So let's go ahead and make sure that was installed. As we can see, we have both of them there. And also, as you can see, I'm using Next.js version 10.0, so this was also just released a couple of days ago. So that is it for the setup, guys. The next step is optional and is to add a custom theme. So we're not going to do that yet. What I want to do is play around with this without the custom theme, just to show you guys how it works out of the box, and then we'll come back and add this custom theme in a bit. So let's go ahead here and run yarn dev and look at our app. So I'm going to go into index and I'm just going to remove everything. Alright, there we go. So a blank page. We'll go and open up a local host. And there we go. So it's running and there's nothing there. So the first thing that I want to do is actually show you guys the dark theme. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to make a component folder. This is standard for any React project, and we will call this dark mode switch.js. So any of the Chakra-ui components are imported from that Chakra-ui core library. So we're going to say import we're going to need the use color mode and the icon button. And these can both be found in the documentation. That's how I knew those were the names. And that's from @Chakra-ui/core. So everything will be imported from that except for the icons, which we'll see in a second. Next, let's say const, and then the name of our component, so dark mode switch. All right, there we go. And let's export it. So there we go. That is our standard Next or React component. Inside of here, we need to make a reference to that color mode. So we're going to say const color mode, comma, toggle color mode is equal to the use color mode that we imported right here. Next, we need our return statement. And we want to return an icon button. And essentially, it will be the same as this. So this is an icon button, and you click it, and we go to dark mode. So we're going to do that same thing. So the icon button is what we imported here. So we're just going to say icon button, and this is self-closing, so we don't need two of them. Inside of here, this takes in some parameters. So first, we're going to say area label. We'll say toggle dark switch. Second, this takes an on-click event. So we'll say on-click. What we want to do is we want to toggle the color mode. So if it's light, switch it to dark, and if it's dark, switch it to light. And then finally, we want to show an icon. And this, we can get a reference to our color mode right here. So we're going to say color mode equals dark. So if color mode is dark, we want the icon to be the sun icon. And this is where we need the icons. So we import the icons from another package right here. So let me go ahead and stop this and import that. And then we can import them like this. Import moon icon, comma, sun icon. And that is from the icons library, just like that. Now let's go ahead and run our server again. And how we use the icons is just like we did with the icon button. So we'll say less than sign, sun icon, close it out. So if the color mode is dark, show this icon. Else, a colon, show the moon icon. There we go. So in 15 lines of code, we successfully implemented a button to change the color mode of the entire site. So if we go back in the index, let's import that. Say import dark mode switch from components dark mode switch. And we can throw this in here, but before I do that, I'm going to use a couple of other Chakra-ui components to build out a little nicer layout. So I'm going to say import, and the components I'm importing are all of these over here. So aspect ratio, box, center, flex, grid, input, form control, all of these, we have access to all of them. So the ones I'm going to be using are text, heading, flex, and stack. And those are all from Chakra-ui core. So to use those, we don't want this. We're going to first return a stack. There we go. And these also take in properties. So we're going to say as equals main. And what that does is that will change the HTML to main. So stack is rendered as a div. So if I go into here, we'll see, there we go. We now have it as a main tag. And I'm going to say align is equal to center, and that will align all of its children to the center. Next, I want to wrap a flex. This will also translate to an HTML div tag, as we can see. And this is just normal CSS flex box. So we can say flex direction equal column. And we can say the max width, we'll set that to 700 pixels. And again, if we go back here and we find flex on the side, right here, you can see this is how you import it. These are some of the properties it takes. We use flex direction. And this is an example of how to use it. So always refer back to here when you want to use new icons or when you want to use new elements. Inside of here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a heading. I'm just going to say, hello world. Now if I go back here, there we go, you see that's coming through. And if I inspect that, it's an H2 tag. So if you want to change that, you can easily do that by doing the same thing. We'll say as, maybe we want it to be H1. Now, it's an H1. And we can change the size. We can say maybe 2XL. Let's make it larger. And we are going to override this size later. That is what I was talking about when I said you can override the theme. So the default themes can be found over here under theming, under default theme. So this is how you customize the theme. We'll go back to that. But these are the default colors, as you can see. And here are the default font sizes. As you can see, we're using 2XL. So we'll come back to this, but for now, let's go back here. And the next thing I want to add is another tag, but this will be the text tag. And I'm just going to say, hello again. And you can do the same thing here. You can change the size, give it padding, margin, all that stuff. So for example, if we want to give this some padding from the top, or margin, we'll do margin. We say MT for margin top. And this takes in an integer value, so maybe we'll say 4. We'll come back, now we have 4. So the margins, we can do margin top, margin bottom, left, right, or if you want the left and the right, you can do margin X and margin Y for top and the bottom. So we'll keep it there. So that is that. Now let's go back to our dark mode switch and use that. So we already have it imported. So what I'm going to do is make a basic nav bar. I'm going to come inside of here and declare another flex tag. This flex direction will be row. And you can also use just direction for this. We're going to give a width, which can be simplified as W, to 700 pixels. And the padding top will be 4. There we go. And inside of here, we're going to put the dark mode switch on the left and a text on the right. We'll just say home. And let's space these apart by using justify, setting that to space between. And again, this is just regular CSS flexbox. Okay, there we go. So now we can see we have our dark mode switch, and if we click it, voila, we see we get a dark mode. We can click it back for light mode. And you'll notice we didn't have to specify the color for this text or any of this. That is just a default theme. All right, so the next thing that I want to do is override that default theme. So what if you want the color of this background when it's dark to be red or blue or a different color? You can do that by customizing this default theme. So let's go back to the getting started, and we're going to scroll down a little bit to the add custom theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into our project and create a new folder called styles. And it looks like we already have a folder called that. All right, so there we go. They created one for us. So inside of here, we're just going to say theme.js. And then we need to import this extend theme. So we'll do that. And as we can see, we can extend the theme to anything we want. So we can add custom colors, fonts, breakpoints, all of that stuff. So I'm going to say const font weights and set that equal to an empty array there. And then inside of here, I can declare my font weights. So I can say normal. Maybe I want that to be 300. Medium, that can be 600. And bold, that can be, let's say, 700. And then I can export that. So I can say export custom theme, extend theme, and pass in those font weights. And then at the bottom here, we need to export our custom theme. So we'll say export default custom. There we go. So now we can copy this, and we'll come back into our app.js, and we need to paste that inside of our Chakra provider. So let me say theme is equal to custom theme. And now if you go back here, we should get an error because it's not defined. So let's go ahead and import custom theme from, remember that's from styles/theme.js. Okay, there we go. So everything is back. It looks like it's working. So let's go back and look at our theme. This is what we declared. So I'm going to go inside of the index and change this to light, and we'll work on this heading. So right now, we're not giving it a font weight. So let's go ahead and give it a font weight of, let's say normal. So it should be 300. If we go back here, there we go. We see the font weight changed. And if we go back here and change normal to say 800, which you wouldn't really want to do, we see this change. So we are successfully overriding our theme. Let's change that back. Maybe we'll put bold to 800, and we can give this a font weight of bold. Just like that. All right, so let's go back here into the index, and I want to play around some more with this dark mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import this useColorModeValue, just like that. And then let me copy this, and right before the return statement, if I paste this line, what I'm saying is this variable color is white if the color mode is light, and gray.800 if the color mode is dark. And then to use this, we can go to our text home, for example, and we'll say color is equal to this color. Now, if we go back, it disappeared, so it's white. But if we toggle color mode, it's gray. So let me switch these two. There we go. So now it should be white, and it is. And if we switch the color mode, it turns to gray. And to see that a bit clearer, let me change that to red. And I just made a common mistake. So if you notice, red is not working. And that is because if we go to the styles, if we go to the default theme and scroll down, black and white are the only colors that you can call as such. Red or yellow won't work. What you need to do, for example, red, you can say red.50 or red.100 all the way to 900. So I need to say red.500. And now, as you can see, it works. So it's red, and if I switch it to dark mode, it should be white. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you would like to see more of NextJS and Chakra-ui. I'm planning creating a longer video or a video series where I build maybe a personal website or something with NextJS and Chakra and really dive into the specifics of it and how to get the most out of it.